Welcome everyone back to another property webinar from WealthMed Property. I'm joined again by Scott Guilford. My name is Doug Scragg, and today we're going to be talking to you a little bit about the real costs of building in 2021. So there's a lot to talk about today. There's a lot of activity happening in the market, a lot of things to share, and a lot of news to share, particularly about construction and some of the changes and things that are happening to the market. There's a few things that we want to go into. We want to talk about the bad, some of the things that are affecting our clients. We want to talk about the good things as well that are helping our clients. And more importantly than ever, we need to make sure we get these things right and what to do. So let's get stuck into the bad news. Scott, take us away.
So I guess the first thing is the market. The market is, as you're probably aware from all the news and speculation, it's just going crazy. And we've talked about this before and the reasons why it's going crazy, but it's not slowing down. In fact, it only seems to be heating up a little bit more. All the demand for our limited supply here, particularly on the coast, is making a big difference. Things are getting away, people feel they're getting away from them, and they're really trying to jump in and get on there quickly. Now, how that relates to the build prices, you've probably heard too that build prices are going up, contracts are being torn up, pricing just seems to go on and variations go on, and development seems to just be getting pushed out. Now, as far as the build prices, there's actually twofold. It's build material prices and it's trade delays. So materials, we're talking about things like their timber, steel, roofing materials, roof tiles, windows, doors, etc., etc. So one thing is delays getting the actual materials in, and then at the same time, because the market is actually screaming out there, it's a good time for all those suppliers to go, hey, we can put our prices up. Because demand is so high, it's a good time for them to do it. And those increases have been anywhere from 5, 10, 20%. So they can really add up. On the other side of it, we've got trade. This is the carpenters, the concreters, the roof installers, bricklayers, the joiners, painters, etc., etc. So one side is with all this extra demand, them getting to the next job is slowing down. So to get a tradie on site can take a lot longer, so it's slowing the build down. And of course, you've got trade cost increases too. So those same guys, because they're so busy, it's their turn to put their prices up too, which they're doing. So that whole build price is really getting hit, both in terms of the cost of the build and also the time frame of the build. The other side that Doug's going to talk about a little bit is the developments.
So with the development, you may know that Aura and Harmony, some of the big estates here on the Sunshine Coast, they're currently experiencing very high demand. In fact, in each of their releases, you have to nominate your best three, you have to put your name down, and your name has to be drawn out of a hat to see if you can even go and buy a block, and you might be waiting months and months before you can even secure something. Once you have secured something, then you have to wait for the land to register. Currently, they're expecting registration to be somewhere in 2022. It could be anywhere between March to about August, September. And from experience, we know that developers, they don't always adhere to their time frames either. They might tell you September, but September turns into October, turns into November, and maybe get it in December. So you have to always take what they say with a grain of salt. In essence, we need to be prepared to potentially be waiting longer periods of time to get access to the land to begin building on. So we are being hit from a number of fronts, both on increased build time frames to actually build the house, but also waiting to even get ready to start to build the house.
Yeah, and the real kicker there is that if we've signed up a build contract and then the land gets delayed and delayed and delayed, and that builder may then just increase the price again because he's got increased prices coming through from his suppliers and his trades. So it gets to become a very difficult time.
Another thing as well is during council approval, that's taking a lot longer as well because there's so much activity happening. Every month it seems to be, we're hearing that council has taken more building approvals in than they ever had before. So being patient is key, and being prepared.
So that's the bad news, but there is some good news.
The market itself is actually doing really well. I mean, that's the whole point of this, is that people are getting on board because the market is so good right now. And it's a great time to have property already, but it is still a really good time to get into the market because there's so much more to come. The Sunshine Coast definitely isn't finished yet. There's so much more that's just on the precipice of beginning. From Batinia still expanding in the Sunshine Coast city centre in Maroochydore with the new submarine cable that's coming along. There's still a lot more investment, a lot more infrastructure, and particularly with the Olympic Games as well, there's going to be more infrastructure being built. We've got road upgrades with the Bruce Highway, the airport upgrades, we've had the university upgrade. There's a lot happening at the moment, and there's so many people coming over from New South Wales and from Victoria that are chasing the lifestyle, but also the lower cost of living and buying property here. So it is still a really good time to get into the market and to be building. When you build a house, we find that you're bringing value, you're adding value to something that didn't exist before. When you buy something established, you're effectively paying for someone else's value add. They're the ones that took the risk, built the house, and are now reaping the rewards and then being able to sell that property. When you're building, you're in the driver's seat and you get to experience potentially some initial growth even whilst you're building and waiting for the build to complete.
Yeah, absolutely. Whilst these developments are pushing out, because you've secured that block, you're getting that gain along the way even whilst you're waiting. You haven't had to fork out all the money yet. We've had some really great examples around the place. There's Rochdale, we had a block down there. You know, one customer got in to one stage, the next stage that came out was 100,000 more, and they sold out like that straight away. And the property hasn't even settled yet, so he's forked out very little and he's gained a lot. So there are really good opportunities in this market still. On the build side, there are a lot of things you can do as well to take advantage of the situation. And really that's about sort of locking in the price and making sure that you can get in at a good price when others are getting price increases. The key to that is working with a good builder. And a good builder who's got strong relationships with both his trades and his suppliers. So they can call on their trades when they want them and when they need them. And those trades will go to them because they know that's where their bread and butter is. It's the other guys they're servicing every now and then that they'll make wait. Same thing with most of the suppliers, they can have a little bit more control about price increases and times on delay for getting materials. Having said that, you've still got to make sure that you're aware of how it's going to happen and that you've got a little bit of play with the builder and a good builder who's flexible enough to work with you on that. And look, there's going to be times where they have to pass on price increases. If they don't do that, every builder's going to go bust over the next 12 months, I can tell you, with the increases going on. But at least there's ways they can work with you to make that increase as palatable as possible and turn the lemon into lemonade, I guess. So there's definitely ways to do it. But most importantly, it's how we do it and make sure we get it right in the first place.
So one thing that you want to make sure you do with the whole project is make sure the finance is in place to cover the whole lot. We want to have a contingency plan for if there are price increases or a valuation shortfall, that we've got a little bit left in the tank to supplement it. The builders don't know when they have to increase their prices for themselves. They simply have to pass it along. Once it gets to a point, they can no longer cover and hold the price increases themselves. So again, working with the builder and making sure that we've got enough in the tank to cover any unexpected surprises. What we try and do is lock in as much as we can, and there's strategies that we can do to do that as best as possible. And again, working with the right builder will make that all happen. The other big thing is making sure that your circumstances with the bank, with your lender, isn't changing. So we're not changing jobs, we're not buying a car, we're not going into other substantial debt. Even credit cards can potentially throw the delicate balance of your borrowing capacity out of whack. Because we are waiting longer to get into the deal, we might be waiting longer to provide formal approval. In fact, we might have to redo pre-approval maybe once, twice, hopefully no more than that, before we're actually getting formal approval and it's stuck onto the construction.
Absolutely. Where that counts is once you draw down your first drawdown from the bank, you're okay, you're safe. Up until that point, the bank may come back and say, hey, we need to see your pay slips again or your accounts from your accountant. And if your circumstances have changed because you've gone and bought a car or gone on a holiday and got the credit card right up or something like that, that could affect the borrowing and they may not lend what they said they would before. And that can be a disaster. So get it right from the beginning. Make sure you know all the numbers from the outset for the whole project. Make sure you've got a little bit of a contingency there for any potential price increases or anything that comes up, and make sure you don't change anything until the deal's all done and dusted. And I think that's the best way to get things right.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the content and the discussion that we've had. It's really important now to come and see us and have a chat about your next project. The market is running away from us, and there is so much opportunity still to make use of.
Absolutely.
So come and have a chat with us, and let's chat about your next step with property and what we can do to make a great investment for your portfolio.